Good evening. Let's see. Somebody didn't move their mic from yesterday. 1 second. Okay, that should be much better. Alright, hope everybody's doing well. I still sound different. I don't know why. But I'm sounding different. Well, it's not like it's muddy or nothing, so, I'll roll with it. Anyway, I'll tell you what, there's something that I just can't get out of my mind. And that is this attack on this power grid, on the substation. Man. So I'm trying to look at this from as many different angles as I can. Trying to look at it from a government angle, trying to look at it from a perpetrator angle, trying to look at it from whatever angle I can come up with. So here's the thing. It has been briefly mentioned that they have high quality cameras out there on these substations. Now, I know this to be true because a while back I remember watching a Mr. Bundy and a now late great Mr. Finicum remove one from one of these little substations. I have no doubt that probably 90% or better of the substations have these. It has been, again, briefly mentioned that the substations involved had the camera systems. So I'm sitting here, I don't know how many days since the incident, what, 3, 4? And there has been made zero announcement as to any more information other than, taking care of the needs of the people, which is obviously you got to do it. But they haven't mentioned anything more towards motive, suspects, nothing. It's moot. And I looked, and it still seems to be, to me, kind of a hard story to dig up in comparison to, this is what I do. I do this all the time. It's part of researching. I'm constantly searching things. And yeah, you can tell when they're playing with searches, and I'm telling you, they're playing with this search like you would not believe. So I'm trying to get a good handle on this, and howdy, Veronica, and that's exactly what folks need to do, and I was going to bring that up. Let me take you on over real quick. Anytime, and I know we're on the backup channel now, so but I'll repeat this when we go back on the regular channel. Anytime that there is a problem, you don't see us pop up live when we're supposed to be live, thewatchmannews.com. Within 20 minutes after the email that I was suspended from YouTube, I was making a video and putting it up on the website. And I just wanted to show you something because this is so awesome. I'm so proud of this. Not the content, but watch this. Okay, I will tell you, I will say the word now when I hit the enter button. I've got the watchmannews.com in the browser tab, and I'm hitting enter now. Boom. Loaded. Do you know how long it's been since I've had a website that loads like that? So the other day there was an outage, and it lasted pretty much of the entire day. And you could tell it was a nasty outage, and when they were coming back up, you could tell they were struggling. Well, they finally got the system back up, and I guess I'm on a different server now or something, because, man, that is just insane. I'll click refresh. Boom. That is insane. So, what does that mean? Well, not only can you continue to go there to find out what the hell, and I know there's a ton of ads. Hey, if you get bored, click away because it helps us. That's why they're there. Believe it or not, we don't get hardly jack from any of that. And now, if it's clicked, then yeah, they throw a few cents in there. All you got to do is click the ad. That's all you got to do. You don't got to buy nothing. You ain't got to do nothing. It's just Google Ads. It's the same Google Ads you see all over. So, anyway, the other thing that I will actually be able to start doing on the website is populating a store. I hate the Vignette ads, though. And obviously there's nothing there except for ads. Boots at Macy's for $35.99. But other than that, I'm going to have whatever here. I'm going to have decals. I'm going to start making some decals. I'm going to just start making some different stuff and selling it. Now that I've got a website that I feel like I can rely on, because I've been waiting to say anything about this. I wanted to see for several days that it continued to work this well. I've confirmed that it's working this well, and so I'm going to put it to use. And I've got a bunch of shirts with some iron-on vinyl stuff, so I can make t-shirts, decals. As you probably, or I hope, have seen, I did put up a couple of new shirt designs on Teespring. The first one was I've got them right here too. Problem is, I'm thinking of both of them at the same time. Got them right here. Musk didn't jump. That's the one I just put up. But the one before that, the Ungovernable Militia. I am going to be doing that one up probably first as far as decals are concerned. And they're going to be bang-up deals on decals. They're going to be, for cut vinyl decals, the deal's going to be out of this world. So what I want to do is I don't want to sell a single decal. What I want to do is I want to sell packs. And so, because, for me to do that, for me to mess with this and do all this, I have to at least charge like $10 plus shipping for the item, or else it's not worth my time. It's not worth your money unless those decals, there's a number of decals in there, and it's not one of those things to where you buy a 10-pack of decals and you get one decal that's good and the rest suck. It's not going to be like that. For one, like the Ungovernable Militia, I've already got the font and stuff I'm going to do that one in. And what I'm going to do is, like, when you get that pack, I'm thinking about doing the Ungovernable Militia, and I'm going to have another one that I'll put with it. And what I thought about doing was actually doing them all separate. In other words, give you ungovernable decals, militia decals, and then find a third option I can throw in there, and not putting one of each in, but two of each in. So just right there, you're talking 6 decals for $10 plus shipping, $13 roughly, for 6 cut vinyl decals. So that's not a bad deal, but I'm probably going to put more than 6 in there. I'm wanting to shoot it for 8 to 10 decals in a decal pack, because I want it to be worth the money, plain and simple. I want you guys to walk away from it with, like, yeah, this is definitely worth that. The vinyl decal business is an expensive business as far as what people normally pay for that kind of work. And then that stuff doesn't sit right with me. I'm not into that. I'm not into, okay, let's see how much we can get. Not at all. But most of those that are in the business are. So you can be looking for that. We've got it covered, but we got to pay our hosting. It's due the 21st, I think I said. So I got to get that taken care of, and then that's good for a year. And then I have a feeling I'll do all right with the store that I put up. I'm going to do some other stuff too. So there's going to be like some prepper related stuff I think I'm going to make and sell. A few little ideas I've got that I think would do people well. And if I could put it up there for a fair price, then I can't see why not. Let's see. I think that pretty much covers that. I'm starting to get a plethora of notes built up. You know, with the bands and stuff, it kind of puts a damper on things. Or not band, but suspension. And yes, my desk is a mess. There was a quote that I wanted to tell you, and I'm going to probably do it again. Not that paper. I know it's on a piece of paper. Ah, ha! I'm actually going to do a video on this. In fact, it might be one of the lessons that I use with the Art of War 2nd edition. Now, this is not my quote. This quote is from Tammy Jo Schultz. Tammy Jo Schultz was an airplane captain, commercial airplane, and she was piloting, I don't remember what type of air. It was a big commercial jet, but I don't remember specifically what kind. And one of the engines decided that it no longer wanted to stay together. And this happened not super long ago. And the engine essentially exploded, causing shrapnel to enter the fuselage, big enough hole that one person actually was sucked out of the aircraft. And she was able to get that plane on the ground without suffering any more loss of life. And that was incredible. That is commendable. And that is up there with the ranks of Sully Sullenberger. And she did an incredible job. And she was talking about practice. And I have to say that because just the part of the quote I have written down, it really wouldn't give you a lot of context. But she was talking about practice. And her quote is, "It makes the habit of our everyday become the instincts of our crisis day." And that quote just hit me rock bottom. I was like, wow. I guess it was the choice of words she used. But anyway, Tracy Joel Schultz is her name. And incredible lady. There's a lot of good information, interviews, and stuff like that. She's now she's retired as far as a captain, but she does speaking engagements and stuff like that. That's pretty much what she's started to do. Was more or less like, I guess, I'm going to call it motivational stuff. But anyway, I thought that was an incredible quote, and I will when we get unsuspended from the other side, I'll repeat that quote then. Other than that, like I said, I've got probably about 4 lessons that I have ready to do. Well, not ready to do, but, topics listed. So we'll be getting on that when we get unbanned. Yeah, have a sip of coffee. Unsuspended, whatever the hell they call it. I call it jerked around. But let's back up. Let's back the truck up. Because I was talking about something and then interrupted myself. The substations. So they've got these cameras there. And to my knowledge, at this moment, they still have no suspects, no motive. However, I suspect that they have video of the incident. How come, since they haven't been able to put together a who, how come they haven't reached out with a frame grab or a short section of video or something to the public to say be on the lookout. Nothing. Mum is the word. At this long into the game, I'm finding that a bit strange, to be honest. One comment that has been made multiple times, and you have to pay real close attention to words. Sometimes they mean stuff. And I've heard it said multiple times, multiple occasions, by multiple different people about this incident, that whoever it was knew what they were doing. Now, might call me naive, but I don't think that refers to merely knowing that shooting the transformers would disable them. I think it goes deeper than that. I think it involves one or two levels, at the very least, deeper than that. The first level would be those cameras I mentioned. Maybe they know about them. I'm sure they do. Maybe they know where. They probably do. And maybe they knew how to stay out of view of them. So maybe there is no video to be had. But I don't believe that. Why wouldn't I believe that? Well, because they busted down the gate to get in? I'm pretty sure the camera's going to probably, at least one of them is going to be pointed towards the gate. So I have a hard time believing that they didn't catch the vehicle on camera. So they haven't come out about that. I find that very interesting. And mum's the word. I want to show you something. Again, when you try to look this story up, it can be a bit elusive. So I want to show you something that I ran across. And we'll get to the topic that the show's named after, I promise. Pardon me. Or I should say, pardon the frog. North Carolina power cut by shooting could come back earlier is the headline title. This is with pahomepage.com. And we could read all this, but I really don't want to. There's a lot of this that I don't want to. And you've already heard this several times. Here's that quote that I was talking about. It says right here, "This seemed to be too easy," Cooper told reporters after the meeting. "People knew what they were doing to disable the substation, and for that much damage to be causing so much problem, economic loss, safety challenges to so many people for so long, I think we have to look at what we might need to do to harden that infrastructure." Well, no kidding. There's been a number of us that's been saying for decades, you need to harden the grid. And y'all talk about it, but nobody puts anything into action. Hadn't been anything put into action since the cameras were installed back from the 9/11 stuff, because that's what brought that about. Okay. Right here, I'm going to start here. I wanted to make sure where I wanted to start, and I think we're going to get to the meat and the potatoes here. DHS and energy companies have been monitoring what Harrell, who now leads security for an energy company servicing multiple states, identified as a significant uptick in nefarious online discussions about sabotaging distribution and transmission substations. Now that is just a statement said by some cat. None of us can confirm it. And I just want to say that. None of us can confirm what this person has claimed. Do I personally feel like there's been an uptick and nefarious online discussions about sabotaging them? Maybe a little tad. And the only reason I say maybe a little tad is because those prices are going up, 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 and up. So yeah, I could see some disgruntled customers having conversations, not necessarily anything behind them, just, frustrated talk. But I even think that would be a minimum. I'm not quite sure I buy this. I really am not sure I buy it. But this goes on to say, investigators have said whoever shot up the substations knew what they were doing, but they have not released further information about how much inside knowledge they may have had. I think, and this is a continuation of what I was saying earlier, it wasn't about them knowing where the cameras were. It was about them knowing which transformers to shoot. That's just my guess. I'm guessing that not all of them were shot up. I'm guessing that this person knew specific ones to hit. If that's the case, we are dealing with one of two things here. And this is my warning. We are either dealing with an out-of-control government that will... Well, let me read this last thing and I'll finish my statement. The last paragraph says, what impacts you can impact me. So threat information sharing is absolutely essential, Harold told the Associated Press. Over 85% of all critical infrastructure is owned by the private sector, so we need to have more regular conversations about the security, yada, yada. Okay? Here was the other thing. Sorry, I got a little far ahead of myself. I should have started a little up. Okay. Starting here, it says, I'm reasonably confident there will be new legislation that will be brought forward in the long session to address the potential that, again, that the crime and the penalty need to be leveled and evened out, McInnes said at a news conference Tuesday. Brian Harrell, former Assistant Secretary for Infrastructure Protection at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, said a determined adversary with insider knowledge of how to cripple key components of critical infrastructure is difficult to stop and requires an industry-wide collective defense. So, one or two things we're looking at here. Either we're looking at an out-of-control government that needs to Hegelian dialectic some new laws in, or I think we're actually looking at an attack. Here's the thing. I firmly believe they know what kind of vehicle it was. Now, I don't know whether the person stayed inside the vehicle when they shot. I don't know any of those types of details. But whoever it was clearly was smart enough not to take a cell phone with them. Imagine that. I don't know. Maybe that's the new thing now, but I don't hear that anywhere. I don't hear people say, well, you better leave your cell phone at home. I don't know. Maybe they do. I'm not in the crime world. I don't need to leave my cell phone at home because I'm not doing nothing. But I find it very interesting that they didn't have a cell phone. There is no information at all that's being released by the government. And if this is for real and it's not them up to playing their games, I think they're spooked. And they damn right should be. The reason I say that is because it doesn't take much. And if you had a coordinated team of individuals, especially across the nation, man, you could put this nation in a very, very bad way in a very, very short amount of time. I really don't think that this was some cat upset about his power bill. I really don't believe that. I think there's more to it. And again, I'll repeat what I said. I wonder if that wasn't a true attack. I mean, not like Putin's going to come right out and say, oh yeah, I got special forces in your country taking out your grid a little bit at a time. I don't know. And it could even be sympathizers. I don't think it has anything to do with that freak show. I don't think it had anything to do with it. In fact, I would start, as others have mentioned, pointed out, I would start at looking more towards, whether it could have been an attempt involving the base or something, because there's a military base nearby from what I understand. I don't know. Gotta get the good mod. That thing's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So, I don't think I got really any more to add on that. Just, it's really been gnawing at me. Really, truly has been gnawing at me. Okay. I reckon we can get rolling through. I actually still have 7 tabs open, so fair amount of tabs open for today. I just kept going through, like I said yesterday, as I was scrolling through, there just nothing. Nothing was meh. That's all I was, going through all the damn headlines looking to see what I should talk about. And not today. Today was like, well, I guess I'll close this one out. I don't really need to talk about that one. I'll close this one out, because, it was just building up. Anyway, you guys probably wondering about this whole killer police robot thing. U.S. city changes mind on killer police robots. We need to come up with some kind of a cool name and sound effect. We've got space, boom. One of these days I'm going to pitch in and really invest a lot of money in a free audio so I can make my voice echo. Anyway, U.S. city changes mind on killer police robots. And I say not so fast, but we'll read. Says officials in San Francisco, California have reversed course just days after voting to allow local law enforcement to deploy robots to kill suspects under certain circumstances, temporarily rescinding the authorization until another vote set for next week. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to suspend the move on Tuesday, making an about-face after an 8-3 vote last week to let police use robots as a deadly force option when the risk of loss of life to members of the public or officers is imminent. Stop. There was one other time that I can recall very clearly that exact language was used, and it's something called the 1033 program. Why does my local police department need that MRAP? Well, just in case, we We need a deadly force option when the risk of loss of life to members of the public or officers is imminent, man. You know, the thing. Now they're using it, the same language, with robots. They're doing this anyway. I'll read, it says, we just stopped the use of killer robots in San Francisco. Complete reversal from last week. Common sense prevails, Supervisor Hillary Ronan wrote in a tweet later in the evening. Because local law requires the board to vote twice on the same piece of legislation, the new ban will be taken up again for another vote next week. However, the city's Rules Committee has vowed to reevaluate the policy altogether following a vocal public backlash, including a recent protest rally joined by city supervisors. Some officials, including Supervisor Dean Preston, said they felt last week's vote was rushed, arguing that residents did not have enough time to evaluate the measure and make their views known before it was passed. Now, what he means was they didn't realize anybody was paying attention and they were just going to slip it right on through. Oops. Don't believe for a second that anything that's decided on a quote-unquote vote is going to be adhered to. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care what you want. They don't care what you don't want. They don't care. Why? Because when the deadly force option with risk of loss of life to members of the public or officers is imminent. Yo. This is going to spread like wildfire. This is going to go crazy fast. It's insane. Just because, even if they do make that vote and they say, oh, no, those units aren't going to go anywhere. They're going to be right where they were. And when the time arises, they'll be used. How many people's homes have they completely demolished with MRAPs and other heavy vehicles over a shoplifter? Oh, but that's just when, we get in a bad place and it's another deadly force option when the risk of life, you know what I'm saying? The answer is no. And we need to keep telling them no. And while we're telling them no, Daddy needs to take the keys to the T-Bird away. We need to be able to put away the play toys. If you're scared of your job, go work in house cleaning or something. I don't know what to tell you. There are many positions on this planet that's not just geared for everyone. Law enforcement is one of them. If you thought it was a great job because you were bullied all your life in school and this is your way to get back, it's probably not the job for you. Unfortunately, our morals have largely fallen in about every area. And I think you're going to see this. I think you're going to see this widespread, and I think it's going to happen quick. But I've been the guy calling that for a while now. Well, my fear is, looking up a chat, my fear is that it will become self-aware, and that it will get a foothold. And believe me, it can. I think some of these people are playing with fire with some of this technology. And I think the AI technology is absolutely playing with fire. Because all you got to do is get a little bit of it that get out there beyond their knowledge and continue to build itself using the www and Wendy's free Wi-Fi connection. And unbelievable things can happen because there's too much connected now and too much controlled now. You have to understand, a little while back, there were some centrifuges in Iran that were destroyed. And I know how they did it. They were able to access the firmware / software of those units right through the grid. It is absolutely mind-blowing what we can do through a couple of wires. Mind-blowing. I've been researching this stuff for so damn long. I was researching it when, the technology was old, but they were still using it, where they can actually use an incandescent bulb, an incandescent one, not LED, but they can use an incandescent bulb and hook a machine up to your power. And when you speak, the filament of that incandescent bulb vibrates. And it will literally send the transmission of that vibration through the grid. And if you've got a machine that is tuned and knows what to look for, it can actually resynthesize that voice. That technology was being used. In fact, that was old technology by the 80s. They don't do that shit no more. They shine a damn UV laser on your window and can hear you from as far away as that laser is shine. All they got to do is get a window. And I'm sure they've got many other ways now. Hell, that was 90s? The laser thing? Laser window thing? I think that's 90s tech. How do you know all this? I pay attention. And I remember stuff. I just got this crazy memory. If it's something that my mind deems something that needs to be remembered, it sticks it in there like glue. Alright, I guess I can start going through some of these real quick. I'm not going to really read deep. Germany says, and this just came out, Germany says Ukraine can strike inside Russia. Goes on to say, while the U.S. distanced itself from Ukraine's drone strike at 2 air bases hundreds of kilometers inside Russia, the German government spokesman said on Wednesday that Kiev doesn't have to limit its war effort to Ukrainian territory. Ukraine has a right to self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter, Stefan Heebstreet told journalists. When asked to comment on reports of explosions at the Russian airfields, Ukraine is not obligated to limit defense efforts to its own territory. 2 strategic bomber bases in Ryazan and Saratov regions came under attack by drones on Monday morning, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. 3 service members were killed and several more injured, while 2 airplanes suffered minor damage. The attack did not disrupt the planned strike against Ukrainian military logistics later in the day. The attack came on the same day as revelations that the U.S. had modified HIMARS rocket launchers so Ukraine could not use them for longer-range missiles, allegedly because the White House wanted to avoid escalation with the Kremlin. And I think that was a lie, and I said when I read that headline that I thought it was a lie. I also said I thought they were trying to build a backstory for something. I wonder what that could have been. So, anyway, basically, what Germany is saying is they don't give a damn. And they're going to give Ukraine whatever they want to give Ukraine because they're not limited by the limitations that NATO is, essentially. If they do this, Germany could be the one that actually kicks off World War III. Something to keep an eye on. Let's see. I love having a vape that I don't cough my ass off, for one. I mean, I normally don't with my other one, but if I take a little bit too big of a drag, I will. This one's so smooth. Oh, I love it. Alright. Ukraine operation could take a long time, says Putin. The military operation in Ukraine may go on for a while, Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Wednesday in a meeting with the Council for Civil Society and Human Rights. Addressing a question about the duration of hostilities that escalated in February, Putin said that achieving all the objectives will take time, but pointed to what he called several major gains already won. Of course, this might be a lengthy process, Putin said, insisting that the conflict really began in 2014 when the U.S. backed a nationalist coup in Kiev. He contended that Moscow had little choice but to intervene in February to defend the Donbas republics of Donetsk and Lugansk, which have since voted to join Russia, along with most of Kherson and Zaporozhye regions. These new territories are a major gain for Russia, the president said. Even Peter the Great sought access to the Azov Sea, and it is now an internal sea of the Russian Federation. Most importantly, the people who live there showed in a referendum that they want to be in Russia and feel they are part of our world, Putin said. They are now with us, millions of them, and that is the greatest outcome. Putin also said there was no point in discussing additional mobilization measures as the more than 300,000 reservists called up to fill the ranks of the military were quite sufficient. In fact, some of the Donbas students who have been fighting for years are in the process of mustering out so they can finish their studies. The Russian president also said that Western European leaders now objecting to the military operation fall silent when he reminds them their countries were supposed to guarantee the peace process in Ukraine since 2014. So, kind of wanted to give you an idea of what Putin's saying. He's not indicating at all that he's ready to, lighten up. In fact, I think it's going to be much the difference. I think he's about to get serious. And whether it be false flag or whether it be true Russian operation, I believe this is absolutely accurate. Kiev mayor warns of apocalyptic winter. Now I had to sit back and think about this a little bit. Says continued Russian strikes on Ukraine's power grid may bring about an apocalyptic scenario in Kiev. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, and I'm sure I said that wrong, Klitschko maybe, told Reuters on Wednesday, but insisted that the authorities were doing everything they could and there was no need for residents to leave the city just yet. Kiev might lose power, water, and heat supply. The apocalypse might happen, like in Hollywood films, when it's not possible to live in homes considering the low temperature, Klitschko said, but we are fighting and doing everything we can to make sure that this does not happen. It says, I'm waiting until I come across a certain thing that made me sit back and think. The former boxer admitted that nearly 500 heating points set up by the government are nothing in a city, here it is, of over 3 million. Residents should prepare emergency supplies and food and water and have clothes and documents ready to depart quickly if central heating is shut off, he added. 3 million people. What do you think that's going to look like if the power just gets turned off? Oh, I don't know. Now? Just click. 3 million people. I would say apocalyptic is an understatement. Pay close attention. I have a pretty distinct feeling that they're going to lose power. All of it. And I have a pretty distinct feeling that what's to follow is just going to be horrific. But the reason I want you to pay attention is because I think we're on bat for the very same thing. Pay attention to what goes on. Keep getting ready. If you don't have alternative plans for heat and whatever, get on it. Immediately. Get on it. Whatever you can come up with. I caught a little bit, I think it was Casey Littleow. Caught a video that she did the other day, or at least just a section of it, where she was talking about water bottles and how she loved water bottles. Great idea. Great idea. Absolutely. If you can come up across a bunch of water bottles, stuff like that, anything you can do. Even newspapers, even saved newspapers. Why would I want to save newspapers? Well, the homeless people stuff them down their clothes because it helps layer them and keep them warm in the winter. If you really want to know how to survive a long, rough winter without heat, ask a homeless person. But better yet, and I said this last year, if I'm not mistaken, and I'll say it again this year. If you want the best advice on how to survive cold weather with no heat, no options, you can get the best advice for $40. Maybe even a little less. Probably a little less. You find somebody that's without home, and you ask them if they'll answer a few questions if you buy them a meal. You sit down with them, buy them a meal, let them eat that meal, find out what information you can, and then please, before you depart, hand them a $20 bill just to do whatever the hell they want with it. It's none of your business. Whether they go and buy a bottle of vodka with it or whether they go and buy themselves some rice and some Spam. None of your business. You got what you paid for. Probably the best advice you'll ever get on how to survive a nasty cold winter. I always tell people, if you want to learn about golf, go ask a golfer. If you want to learn about baseball, go ask a baseball player. You want to learn how to survive the elements while being in the elements, go ask a homeless person. Just be prepared. Whatever you do, be prepared. And make sure you're prepared all the way down to that very last option of putting on 10 layers of clothes and wrapping yourself up in a wool blanket. and praying. You want to make sure that you have everything leading up. Hey, this heater works great. It's not on right now. Hadn't been on for... Actually, hadn't been on for an hour and a half. Well, an hour and 25 minutes to be exact. So, and it's still warm in here. So, I made some cornbread though. So, I made cornbread, and so that means I heated up the oven. So that's kind of what kept it warm. Usually about now it's, like 40 degrees or so outside. Let me take a peek. And I usually run it for a half an hour, and I'll either give it a 30-minute break or a 45-minute break. If it's kind of a little bit chilly, I'll give it a 30-minute break. And then I'll fire it right back up. But I haven't had to fire it up. Last time it shut off was 7:30. And I was going to fire it up right before I went live, and I got to thinking, man, it's warm in here. I ain't going to fire that thing up. And so it's been off for almost an hour and a half now. That entire time, guess what? We're not paying anything for electric heat. We're not paying anything for diesel heat. It's off. And I'll turn it on when I get done with the show here. I'll turn it on. I'll turn it all the way down on low. And we'll go to bed. And we'll wake up and it'll be kind of nipply in here. It was kind of chilly this morning. But you just hit the button and crank that thing up a little bit. And it only takes a couple minutes. It warms everything nice and toasty. So on low keeps us from being completely froze out. And again, that's on 1.6 is low. That's 1.6 clicks of that pump every second at 0.022 milliliters each click. Not a lot of fuel. I won't go through the math again. Anyway. Alright, lawmakers reject bid to audit U.S. aid for Ukraine. I'm not really going to go into that, but don't need to. I mean, it speaks for itself. I hope nobody expected them to actually do that. And I don't care whether it's Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. Eventually you'll figure out the game, if you hadn't yet. U.S. court drops Khashoggi murder case. Not surprised. I'm absolutely not surprised. But I find it kind of funny because that was kind of one of the... I'm not saying it was a campaign promise or it wasn't anything like that, but Biden on the campaign trail did make it seem like, he was going to deal with this. He was going to come down on this. Well, they're doing a hell of a job of it, ain't they? Huh. Imagine that. Me do the math. Let's see. UK city defends new climate lockdown policy. The city of Oxford, that's the place where they drink with their pinky up, has embraced the concept of limiting citizens' personal travel to fight climate change, an idea once dismissed as a conspiracy theory. By the way, I sometimes drink with my pinky up and don't even realize it. So I don't know, does that mean I am truly high class because I just automatically do it? Does that mean that it's instinct, it's been bred into me? Then does that mean I'm in the wrong damn family? Oh, sorry. Let's see. The Oxfordshire. What next do we need? We need Oxford Chestershire County Council's so-called traffic filter system adopted last week has gone viral, denounced as the first step toward climate lockdowns by climate skeptics and civil liberty activists. The city will be divided into 6 15-minute neighborhoods containing all local necessities, with residents required to register their cars so their comings and goings can be tracked by a network of cameras. Woohoo! They are allowed unlimited movement in their own neighborhood, but in order to drive through the filters, they must apply for a permit. Even then, they are only granted access to other neighborhoods for an average of 2 days per week. Those who exceed their travel allotment will be fined. Thousands of residents have expressed concern about the project, no shit, which has previously been rejected under a different name. See how they do it? Including 1,800 who signed a single petition over worries it would actually increase congestion. However, campaign director for Oxfordshire Livable Streets, no, it's just Oxfordshire, but hey, Zahura Plummer, claimed that the initiative would save lives and make our city more pleasant now and for future generations. Am I convincing? Citing an official analysis that projected 35% less traffic, 9% fewer road casualties, 15% faster bus times, and 91% less air pollution. Except for all that bullshit you're trying to feed us. Anyway, the city will also benefit financially with any driver caught passing through a filter, I love that name, without an exemption or permit, being charged a £70 penalty, just over $85 per violation. Planners expect the city could make as much as £1.1 million per year from fines. And a whole lot of compliance. Wow. Filters. Not checkpoints. Not gates. Nothing like that at all. No. This isn't a checkpoint. It's a filter. Oh. Well, I'm certainly fine with the filter, good sir. Good day. As you rap him in the head with a bat. I didn't say that. I just was saying that sometimes you have to ask a basket, whatever. I don't care. Ask a basket weaver. It doesn't matter anymore. It just doesn't. Why? Because you can't go through the filter. You went 2 days this week. Do you want a fine? Give me that shit. That's it. Gonna give you 10 more filters next week. This is unreal. I know I'm making light of it. But have I not been warning about this for a very long time? I wasn't saying neighborhoods. I was saying state lines, yo. So, people thought I was nuts for claiming this on state lines? You're talking neighborhoods now. Neighborhoods. Neighborhoods. Right? You can't even go see a hoe across the way. I mean, and just imagine the cost if it was a lady of the night. Not only do you have her costs, which are certainly going to be up front, but then you're going to have the fines later on and have to explain to them what the hell you were doing outside of your neighborhood with that floozy. I don't know. But that's crazy. And be ready. It's coming. Along with my admission to the psych ward. But hey. We're in deep doo-doo. We are in deep doo-doo. A U.S. defense bill authorizes more Ukraine and Taiwan aid. You know, but of course they rejected the idea, the notion that you might want to look into what's going on with that aid. Russia and Pakistan agree on energy supplies. India may cut gold import tax, says Bloomberg. EU member says it can no longer accept Ukrainian refugees. Donbass collision kills 16, says regional head. EU to expand anti-Russia sanctions, says Financial Times. China announces major changes to COVID restrictions, and they're lightening it up. They're not making it worse. Another EU state blocks liberal Russian TV network. Western airlines need to return to Russian airspace, says the IATA. A Reich coup failed in Germany, says security services. Former Bundestag MP among coup planners, says media. Russia-China trade smashes record, says customs data. British farmers warn of food supply crisis. There's actually several nations that are starting to get really concerned about that. Russia's mega gas pipeline to China is nearly complete, says Xinhua. And I bet you're not going to see that one get stopped. UK no longer superpower in foreign aid, says minister. Russian soldiers detail brutal torture by Kiev's forces. EU has to show it has its own interests, says Russia. Hang on, there's a 1 up there. Oh, that's nice. It'll be there when we get there. It's not like emergency braking. Oil nosedives on recession fears. No point in talking about further mobilization, says Putin. Kiev continues crackdown on Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Coup plot is example of Berlin's diversionary tactics, says German MP. Next generation 400-meter skyscraper to be built in Moscow. U.S. imports from Russia more than double, says Census Bureau. You heard that, right? U.S. imports from Russia more than double. But I thought there were sanctions on Russia. I guess it doesn't matter when the right people want to make money. CIA hid evidence of JFK assassination's covert ops history, says researcher. Musk loses crown as world richest man, says Forbes. I'll have you know I've got cornbread in there. Gonna have to eat me another piece after the show. Cornbread, yo. Cornbread. Let's see. Ukraine operation could take... I covered that. A Shark Week, and this was one of the headlines. I'm sorry, I had to nix it out, but I was going to discuss this. I guess we are anyway. Shark Week is not diverse enough, says a study. Them bastards. I knew it. With names like the Great White. I knew sharks were racist. I knew it. And now, here's proof. They don't eat enough black people. Proof. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't really have to do with... Discovery Channel Shark Week, 34-year-old initiative, yada, 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 yada. It says and the people who study it is overwhelmingly white, according to a group of researchers. Told you, racist. They published their conclusions with the public library, blah, 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 blah. Not only did the programming feature far more male experts and commentators, 78%, than female, already a red flag in a field that currently consists of more than 50% women, it actually included more men named Mike than women at all. Wow, I'm frickin' sorry, man. Over 90% of the 229 experts who featured in the episodes they watched were white. So what they're saying is they need more black people to get bit. And if you're a black female, that's even better. So, you know, They're saying that the current situation must be racist. I need to get paid for some of these studies, man, because, damn, yo. Lawmakers reject bid to audit U.S. aid. Oh, I read that one. Study reveals George Soros media ties. I know we're in trouble, man. We're in some deep, deep trouble. Ukraine conflict transformed Germany, says ambassador. Middle East country boasts world's most powerful passport. UK city defends new... Oh, I covered that. Russian ally to introduce death penalty or death penalty for treason. I can't even speak. Treason? I'm adding letters to words. EU nation MP hires which aide? Civic comedy. It must be that gonorrhea. I don't know. Let's see. China scolds UK for failing to fulfill international obligation. Sounds like that needed to be said with an echo. Merkel confirms Ukraine's ceasefire was a ploy. Latin American president removed from office. Let's see. Majority of Canadians fear struggle to feed families. I read that one. And British PM vows to crack down on unions. Well, that's just what they need. It's insane. Absolutely insane. I'm telling you, man. They got some craziness planned. And I don't think any one of us, meaning those of us on YouTube, or those that aren't on YouTube and just watch those that are on YouTube, either way, I don't think any one of us individually is going to be able to really get a grasp and really figure out what it is that they're going to do. What play are they going to make? I don't think collectively we could do it. And I firmly believe that we're going to get hit from so many different angles at one time to throw us off balance. Please get ready. Stay ready. Make sure your gear's good to go. When I say this, I'm not coming at you. I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to be worried. I don't want you to do any of that. I want you to be prepared. Not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. I want you to be prepared in every way. Work on it. Be honest with yourself about your weaknesses, no matter what they are, and work on them. Right now, you have the abilities of material items. You have the ease of internet to be able to communicate, to be able to learn, to be able to even do. Use this time wisely. Because when they shut that switch off, what we got is what we got. Make sure you're on this. I really hate to say I think this winter is going to get stupid ugly, because I said that last year. And Lord knows I may even said it the previous year. I think I did. I don't want to just be throwing that out there haplessly. To me, that's not responsible. I did honestly believe the last two winters were going to be much worse than what they actually were. I feel the same about this one. But I was wrong twice in a row. I'm hesitant to sit there and put my neck out and say, this is going to be the winner. And at the same time, I'm scared to death if I don't say this, if I don't say get ready, that it's going to happen. The last thing I want is to come here and give you the impression that you have nothing to be concerned about, that everything is fine, because it's not. I don't want you living in fear. I just want you ready. Then hang in there and keep a close eye on things. This stuff's going to spiral fast. I have a feeling. Anyway, I am going to get out of here. I am going to relax. And God willing, we'll be back tomorrow night to close up this week. Then we'll have one more night when we come back Sunday here. And then we can go back home. So, as long as they don't come up with something else. Anyway, I am out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow, and I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.